human
Go ahead.
consumption. Our products are not approved for
As hard as I can.
Go for it.
prevention, diagnosis, of cure of any disease or illness. In addition,
You know what you
they are
got?
unsuited and
That's a good kick.
unsafe
That's
for
a good
human
kick.
consumption. They are not approved for possession by anyone other
I heard that.
Della saw my hand-painted artwork on my heavy bag, and she asked if she could do a stick figure drawing of her bully at school.
Sure. The monster-like physique that we are seeing more often nowadays may have to do with genetically blessed, are seeing financial opportunities and clout that the modern physiques are growing per se, but just possibly that we are seeing more guys coming out of the woodwork. Another theory is that actual training methods, less weight, less reps, to less reps, more weight.
I got done with my bench for week 4, which was Sunday night, so that means I have, 3 days off. I can do whatever I want. And of course, I'm training with my kids. And Della was willing and available. The way I've been doing it, it's pretty cool. Every time I learn something, whatever that might be, and I'll practice it until I get it down, I teach it to my kids. I just go right ahead and get them out there and say, all right, this is what we're learning today. I learn it, you learn it. And is it the blind leading the blind? Yeah, possibly. But you know what? It's fun. And it also helps me reinforce things, because I've noticed with any endeavor, it could be work related, it could be weightlifting, it could be boxing, it could be whatever. Whenever you teach something to somebody, you have to go through the steps as they're prescribed. It can expose issues with what you're doing wrong. Like, I've been squatting for 10, 15 years, and teaching the squat, I'm like, oh, you know what? That's the pivot point, and I need to anchor my, it's like it'll expose things that, or maybe I'm not cueing. Oh, I forgot I need to cue to open up my hips when I squat. Or I need to make sure I take a breath and I'm tightening down, or I got my elbows back. The little things, when you're teaching somebody and you're going through the steps, it'll expose any deficiencies with your program. So I think it's super helpful to try to coach people, and that's it's doing as much for me as it is for them. And Della, God, I love this kid. I love it, man. She picks it up so fast. I get her out there, I show her a couple times. She screws it up for 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden it clicks, and you can just see the light bulb go off, and then she's got it. A lot of times I'll teach her something, and it seems like she's not getting it, and she gets frustrated. And then we'll take a break, and I'll pick it up later, and then I'll watch her do it. Like, so whatever I imparted to her, even though she didn't seem like she was getting it right in the moment, as soon as if she just picks it up, she's doing it. So that's really awesome. I haven't had as much time with my son. He's got some other stuff he's doing. He's learning how to play the saxophone, and he's pretty deep in band, and he's got the Boy Scouts and a lot of other things. So the time commitment has been an issue. So I'm hoping that after this competition is over, this is what I want to do. I like being big. I do. I just like the way I look. Obviously I got the gut issue where I need to get that. That's a medical thing that they need to address. So we're going to work on that, obviously. They told me to leave that alone until I'm done competing. And I think I might want to drop back down to like the 198 weight class, because I felt really agile and nimble at that weight, but I like the size. I want to get fast at the size I'm at. The issue is when I'm kicking, it feels like I'm wearing ankle weights. Like, I just can't seem to get the speed. And I know if I drop down 10 pounds, that'll come back. I'll start. It's just the way it works, man. You get lighter, you get quicker. But I like the idea of, no matter what size you are, trying to accommodate that size, become flexible, become fast, become agile, become nimble. Do all those drills, all those accessories, all the stretching at your current size, and you'll start picking it up. Who's that one? He's an influencer. His name is Juji Mufu. And he was one of those guys that would do the tricking, you know, with the little flips and stuff, with the little ninjas, and they spin and they do the splits, and super highly athletic, almost like gymnasts. And then he's become a bodybuilder, so he's put on a lot of size. He's big. You know, it's hard to determine how big he actually is. Like, I haven't met him in person, but looking at him on the screen next to other lifters, you can see that he's a pretty big dude. He's much bigger than me. But he's flexible. He can do the splits. He can flip. He can do all that stuff at his current size. The one thing that he's got that I don't is he's probably about 20 years younger than me. So there is that. I'm not really sure what his age is, but he's younger. He's not in his 40s, I don't think. I think he might be in his late 30s. I'll have to look into that. I could be wrong. I mean, that does make a difference. But my goal is to see how good I can get at the age of 50. How agile, how nimble, how flexible can a guy my size, my strength, get at the age of 50? What's possible? You know, it's not what's probable, it's not what's recommended, it's not what you should or shouldn't do. What can you do? And that's the question I want to answer. And then it's for no other reason than to satisfy my own curiosity. Because I just don't feel as old as I am. You know, everybody keeps telling me how old I am, and I just don't feel it. But I'll tell you what, when I do try to do stuff like rollerblading and kicking the bag and, you know, getting sparring on the weekends, like doing really athletic stuff, it doesn't take long to start feeling your age. I'll tell you what, try to go a full round of sparring. Yeah, it exposes itself really quickly. So what is it we're trying to learn today? I'm trying to teach my daughter power. She's got a little snap, but she likes to, you know, she telegraphs, she kind of throws. And when she kicks, she doesn't pivot her foot, which, you know, she's new to it. I mean, I'm just learning this stuff. You know, I kick pretty hard. And one thing, ever since I started, you guys on the internet started helping me really rotate my hips. Now, I have problems with my hips. It's not that I don't understand what it is that's trying to be imparted on me. It's that I have physical limitations. So, for me, I got this scar on my back, and all the issues are in here, starting from the L5. So it's hard for me to push the hips through. This feels like Laffy Taffy being pulled apart. A lot of scar tissue in there. So when I'm trying to push my hips through, it's like Velcro being separated. And the more I do it, the better it feels. But it's a slow, really frustrating process. And as I've been getting better, I've noticed I don't have to throw the kick. I don't have to throw it. Like, my body rotating through it is doing that for me. And what that's causing is much harder strikes with much more energy conservation. So I'm not getting winded. So I'm not throwing it. Like, I'm very, very strong legs. So if I were to soccer kick you, it's going to hurt. Guaranteed. I mean, my daughter, she's 9 years old, and if she just ran up to me and kicked me in the leg, like, with no form or whatever, it's going to hurt. Like, anybody can hurt you with a kick. But, you guys know, you want to be able to, you want your body to do the work. You don't want your muscles to do the work. Everything combined is the perfect strike. So as I'm getting better at rotating through, and the last part of the puzzle for me is getting on the ball of my feet and rotating. So I'm very flat-footed. So it's been hard for me to get up on the balls of my feet and properly rotate. Now, it's easy to do. Like, I can get on the ball of my feet and twirl in a circle, but the hard part is returning to a usable stance. So being able to throw a kick and get back into a fighting stance, being able to maneuver around, that's the hard part. So I haven't really done many full speed videos, which would show how I move when I spar, which is entirely different than when I'm doing drills and I'm just standing there throwing hundreds of kicks in a row. When I'm actually in my thing, doing what I would do in the ring, it's way, way, way different. But regardless, I mean, as I'm learning stuff, I'm trying to pass it on to her. But I have to become proficient enough at it to demonstrate it first. So now we're getting there. And she just picks it right up. It's so awesome, man. You saw at the beginning of the video. I told her to kick. She's like, what happens if I kick you? And I'm like, do it. Let's see what you got, kid. And she put, I've got a bruise, boys. I got a bruise on my thigh. Oh, man, it's hilarious. I was letting her punch me in the stomach, and I'm like, hit me. I think the one thing that kids do is when I don't know about when they're fighting, when they're in the moment when they're fighting, that's different. But like when they're sparring people, they pull their punches. I've noticed every small kid, they're like actually afraid. I don't know if they think that if they hurt me, I'm gonna get mad at them. I'm like, no, I told you to hit me. Like, I want you to hit me. Like, I'm gonna laugh and I'm gonna fist bump you and I'm gonna tell you that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's part of that is they're worried they're gonna get an adverse reaction from me, or they think that maybe I'm just gonna start getting aggressive with them and like, what am I gonna do? Just like slap my son across the garage? You know, like, no, come on now. So I have to build that confidence up with them. Like, you know, here she's doing uppercuts, and when she's throwing them, normally, she's Hadouken. But I noticed when she's trying to hit my hand, she pulls it at the last second, and I was trying to get her to just, like, let it go. Like, let it go all the way through. And her and her mom, all 134 pounds of her, has got an uppercut she knocked a dude out. My wife, a woman, knocked a man out. Got on top of him and was beating him MMA style. No training, just natural. I don't know what it is. It's something in the genetics of these women. They just have that uppercut, and I guess the dude, the way it went down, the guy hit her, punched her, and she went down, and then when she was coming up, she just naturally chucked that sucker up there and just binked him right, and he was out. He knocked her out. Flat out. Woman, man, bam, it is possible. You gotta hit him right. I mean, it's unlikely, you know, so don't get out there and start thinking you're just gonna, you know, start ham-hocking dudes if they get in your face. Like, that's dangerous. The guys can kill you. You know, I'm like 100 times stronger than her. All I gotta do is just grab her and just, you know what I mean? But it's possible. Guards down, or he's, you know, not taking you seriously, and you get one in there, think it can happen. Now, I pick my kids up from school every day, and I see them all come out, and their classmates, and they'll tell me, like, yeah, that's the kid that was picking on me, or yeah, that one's a bully, and she bothers everybody, and oh, that one does this, and that one does that. And I look at these kids, I told my daughter straight up when she was this one girl, she said, that's my bully. And I looked at her, and this cute little blonde thing, and I said, you're not allowed to be bullied by somebody that small. And she's just like, okay. You're like, no, you either, I don't know, you just, yeah, I don't want to hear that. You're not allowed to let somebody like that pick on you. I'm sorry. And the next day she came and told me, oh, we're friends now. And what happened? Why would I talk to her? Like, oh. And my son, I found his bully. His kid's name's, I don't know, Aaron or something. And he was a little wisp of a thing too. He was not the same size as my son. I'm like, what are you talking about? This kid is bothering you and you can't stand up for yourself? He said, no, it's not that. It's since he always gangs up. He's got his friends with him. Said, well, if it ever comes down to it, he puts his hands on you, you just lock into him, and just him, forget the other three, and you take care of just that guy, and you don't worry about the other three. They can be beating on you the whole time. You just handle him, and I guarantee you, he will never mess with you again. With my daughter right now, the way she's hitting, I would put her up against any of the boys in her class, any of them. Like, the kids just don't know how to hit, and my daughter is slugging. And if she ever gets in a situation where she lets that go, she's gonna do some damage. That being said, I'm also trying to teach my kids, like, fighting is a last resort. There's a difference between defense and vengeance. You know what I mean? It's one thing if you have to defend yourself. So here's the issue. At our school, there's some, I don't know what it is, but maybe the COVID or the year that the kids had to stay home, but the kids have lost all of their social skills. And they're like, it's like a gladiator camp now. The school, everybody's fighting and picking on each other, and it's just ridiculous. And the teachers are overwhelmed. We report things. They just aren't doing anything about it. So I told my kids, look, if the teacher's not going to do anything and nobody's going to intervene, you have to handle it. You have to. Or else it won't stop. So am I telling my kids to be violent? God, no, I hope not. That's the last thing I want. But I just, you know how kids are, man. They don't have logic and reason. Their brains aren't developed. It's not like adults where you can just talk to somebody and will resolve your issues. And the kids are like, you got a little group standing around and you try to be like, look, dude, I don't want to fight you. And they're all like, pussy, you know how kids are. So you're almost forced to do something. So I told them, if you're going to do it, be decisive. Do it, I ain't playing around. I don't want to hear that this kid's picking on you 6 months from now. You resolve it. You gotta stand up for yourself. You have to, and that's what I'm trying to teach. And I really, really am trying to make sure that I distinguish between protecting yourself, defending yourself. We all have the right to do that, and being a bully. That's the last thing I want. And I told him, if I find out you're picking on other kids, we're gonna have some problems. So hopefully they're getting that message. I don't know. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best. I want to prepare my kids,
Oh, hey, if you got anything out of this video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. I'll see you on the battlefield. Here you go, sweetheart.